Hey, everybody. Okay, this is it. We're doing this. This is Interface Rage. If you're here for the relaxation and aromatherapy session, this is not it. We are not going to relax at all today. We're going to be a little tense. So are you okay with that on this side? Little tense? Okay. But we'll start easy. My name is Dean. And I own a company, UX consultancy, called True Matter. We're in the United States, in South Carolina, and we just work with developers all day, every day. It's a great job to make complex software easier to use. And so I've been doing that for a long time. And in True Matter, I'm known as a super easygoing, that's what we say in America, easygoing, nice guy. I'm very mild. I never raise my voice. I'm diplomatic, and I get along with everybody. I love kittens. Who doesn't love kittens? I love a walk in sunrise, nice cup of tea by the fire. I'm very chill, except when I'm using software. When I'm using software, something different happens to me, especially if I'm using software that drives me a little bit crazy. I turn into something else. I turn into something of a beast. I say words that my mother would not want me to say. I stomp my feet and I get angry. Maybe I'm just using the triple-headed monster of SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive. Okay, it's annoying. It's got problems with the interface, but does it make me really angry? Maybe. I moved to Dropbox. Annoying, weird, funky interface that's hard to use. Okay, I'm a little annoyed. I try to leave Dropbox or do something different, and it tells me that I need to switch to a different plan. But if I don't want to, I don't want to save. And it's gonna make me click it. And this is Dropbox calling me cheap. Now, I may be cheap, but it's not Dropbox's business if I'm cheap. So I'm a little bit upset. But what gets me seriously upset is whenever I'm trying to make Microsoft Word styles do what I want. And man, I get upset. And you hear it in the other side of the office, and the feet start stomping, and the anger rises, and people kind of get out of the way. And if I didn't own the place, I might be fired for some of my reactions. So, quick question. Please tell me I'm not alone. Do you get upset when you use software sometimes? Do you get frustrated? Anyone, please? Yes? Okay. Thank heaven. It's good to not be alone. One day, I wanted to pay the Internal Revenue Service money. Internal Revenue Service is where you put your tax money in the United States. I just want to pay, that's all, no problem. But anytime a dialog box stares you at the face and says, "This is fast and easy," you know it will neither be fast nor easy. And this is just verification. I've already been at this for 30 minutes. Now I just need to verify my identity. And they say it'll take 5 to 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes, which means we ought to plan for an hour. Is that right? Or more? Possibly. Maybe? Who can say? If we're successful. I go through the process. It took longer than 15 minutes. And I finally get to this screen. I've done it. I just need the activation code. That's all. It's going to come to my phone, right? It's easy. Now I'll be able to log in and do what I want. But no. This is true. This is real. They're going to send me this activation code via snail mail. And it's going to take 5 to 10 business days. That's like 2 weeks. okay? So I'm pretty upset because I just, wanted to pay my taxes. And then you see in the note, if the note doesn't get to you in 15 days, do the process again. Which of course would lead to another 5 to 10 days, right? Okay, now another thing that you didn't see, this is offline, you get this note in the mail and the note says, hey, you have to activate by a certain date. I don't read that stuff. No one reads that stuff. I missed the date. So what did I have to do? I had to go back through the process again, 5 to 10 days. It took me 2 months to get an activation code. 2 months. Then I just wanted to invest. I just wanted to invest some money for my children's education. I went through the whole process, took forever, finally did a transaction, but I get an error. And if you look closely, you'll see if you cannot fix the error, you just got to call them and tell them about the error code. The frustrates B1191. I know sort of what that is, being in the business. But if I were a normal person, I'd want to call them and say, what is with this B1191? But I didn't do it because I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. Now, I'm not saying I threw the screen against the wall like this woman. I'm not saying I didn't do it. I'm just not saying I did it. Okay, then I tried something stupid. I decided I wanted to try to contact Amazon, which I think is dumb. Because I needed to answer a question. I said, well, maybe I can contact them. So I give it a try. And I think, I don't know, where's contact for Amazon? Maybe it's in my account. So I go ahead and I look. I look up in the account and I'm trying to think, I don't see anything here. This is a couple years ago. I don't see anything here. All right, let me scroll down to the bottom. They put like contact stuff on the bottom pages and the footer. I don't really see anything here, but I do see help. It's the closest thing to contact I've got. So I'm going to go for it. Go for it. And I get to a very unhelpful page. There's no help here. And I look, finally, I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound, I'm going to look through these help topics. So I look around and I see something at the bottom. Need more help? Yes, I need more help. So I click it. And then I see there's some options over to the side, and look at one of them. Contact us. I found it. Yes, I feel good. So I click it. Dang it. I had forgotten my password. I had to go recover it, do authentication, log in, and then I get to the contact us page, which has absolutely nothing about contact on it. Just nothing. It's all about orders. And so I look through, is there anything here? Well, I can look at help for Prime or something else. Don't know what that is. But I look down below, there's another drop box. I'm going to go for it. Let's just try, okay? And I open this and I see, look at that. More non-order questions, the closest I can get. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm doing it. And I go in and I get another screen that has nothing really to do with questions or help or anything. And I'm losing it at this point, but I'm going to do it. And I go all the way down and I scroll down and I see, wait a minute. Phone. That's got to mean something, right? I got to be able to do it. So I click on phone. Oh, God. I put my phone number in, and they're going to call me. So at this point, I'm very upset. And I've just given in. I'm no longer even mad. I'm just hopeless, which really is kind of worse. I never really did notice that there was another link that said general help number. I never did click it. I wonder what was there. But we'll never know, will we? And let you think that I'm going to make fun just of Amazon. Make a little fun of our friend Apple, too. Do you remember back in the day when we had iTunes and we had to buy music and we had to download it and purchase it? Well, iTunes was kind of hard to use. And you could have a family that shared music in theory, and they could download something and you could listen to it. It sounds great. It was awesome in their keynote. This is the reality. So at first, I'm trying to figure out how to buy music that already was purchased. Now, I can't, these are real, by the way, and I can't really explain what's going on here because I never did understand the ask to buy option for Apple. But it says I'm sharing purchases from an account that's already being used, and ask to buy can't be enabled on an account that's not shared. I did not understand this at the time. So all I want to do is just listen to some music. I want to re-download something that, it's a Taylor Swift song or whatever. I want to listen to it. And I can't because it's not available for me. It was bought by someone else. It was refunded or canceled. Keep in mind, I just want to listen to a song. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's not a big insurance transaction. I look into it more, and now Apple's telling me there's a billing problem with someone else's purchase connected to me. Ask the family organizer what's going on. I don't know who that is. I thought it was me, but I guess it's not true. I try to join family sharing because that's what I'm trying to do, right? Okay, but I can't because I've already tried twice. You remember this? This was a real thing. I tried twice, and they said, no, that's enough. You can't try anymore. You could try again in 242 days. That's real. If I want to listen to a Taylor Swift song that I've already bought, 242 days. So I tried again. My email can't be used because my wife is using shared purchases and the Angela Schuster's family. So now I have to ask Angela. This is Apple telling me to ask my wife for an invitation to join my family. I just think it's none of Apple's business what my relationship is like. And then I can't join the family. And so now Apple's my therapist. All right? I'm a part of Dean Schuster's family. I hope so. I need to leave my current family before I can set up a new one. My business, how the marriage works. Of course, we can remove me, but I'll lose access to photos, calendars, and more. Everything. I made this one up. That's not Apple. And this gets me angry. It gets me angry all the time. And I just feel this way most of the day when I'm using the software or trying to fix other software. I just want to throw it away. I mean, think about TV. TV used to be easy when I was a kid, all right? When I was a kid, back in America, you have a little TV. It's got a little knob. You have 3 channels. You have to walk across the room to turn it on, but man, it goes on. And it goes on right away. You have a little book. Oh, it's on today. Okay, great. And it's on. That's it. It's easy. Nothing to learn. Nothing to learn. Then technology advanced. And it got harder. A lot harder. So difficult that my mother could no longer handle it. Then it got better, but harder. Now, if I want my mom to watch TV, it's a series of logins, authentications, 2-factor setup, figure out where to go. It's really harder to watch TV today than it used to be. We can see anything in the world, but it's harder. And it's maddening. So today, I want to talk a little bit about why it's the case, what I've seen in my entire career of working with users who are frustrated and angry at the stuff I make, the stuff we make, all the stuff I'm going to tell you. I'm guilty of all of it, right, before we get in. The thing I want you to understand about anger is the anger you feel about interfaces, everyone feels it, and they feel it all the time. Everyone. Most of the stuff we make, easy. Most of the stuff we make is really hard to use, okay? This is real stuff. Most of it's really live right now. And most of the stuff we make, people struggle with, especially, internal apps, and novice users have trouble all the time. And when people perceive that something's hard to use, their first reaction is frustration and anger. What you all feel, imagine your users that feel it worse than you because you are like superheroes. You know how to do this stuff. You're power expert users. You got this. But other people don't. That includes people in companies, real smart people. So there's a study I'm going to show you in a minute. And this is a quote from this study, one of the users in this study talking about dealing with apps. And they're talking about being so angry that they just took their fist and put it through a wall, and that didn't even satisfy their anger. This is a scientific study. This is no joke. It's a big deal. And I'm not saying I've ever put my fist through a wall. I'm not saying I haven't. I'm not saying I have. But I get upset. Word styles, for the most part. It's very typical to be frustrated. Let's take a common search. I just searched for angry user and Getty Images. Stock search, common stock search. Man, I got some good stuff. And I feel this way all the time. Don't you? Look at this guy. He's upset. This guy's like, I don't even know what's going on. I do this. I get right up into it. I almost use a bad gesture. I'm trying really hard not to swear here, just so you know. It's not easy. That's basically me, all the time. Now, this search, I got 5,000 results for that search, just like that, with a zillion other ways to enhance it with AI. That's just one service. If this is so easy to find, you know it's a thing. You know everyone is like this. Let's take this company, Full Story. They're like a marketing analytics company. And they created this index for judging the success of sites. And they called it the rage grade. So if you have marketing companies calling something a branded quality, the rage grade, this is serious. So they give this section of a site a C-. In America, C- is not good. It's not good. And I love this marketing. It only gets better. No, it doesn't. It can get a lot worse. Below C in America is D. Below D in America is F, failure, right? So they're categorizing rage. It's a thing. This is my mom. My mom is a tax accountant in America. It's a hard job. She does corporate taxes. She's smart. These are the things she struggles with online. All of them. Every single one. These are things that we would call easy, right? They're hard. And they frustrate her. So one day, I'm on a call with my mom. I'm trying to get her logged back into Facebook. Easy, yes? No. Not if you don't recognize you're logged out and you are on the phone 800 miles or 1,000 kilometers away. And I'm trying to walk her through the process. Very tough. And I could tell she's getting upset. Like I'm 10 years old and haven't cleaned my room upset. And I notice it and I say, Mom, you're feeling upset right now, aren't you? And she's like, yes. And my mom didn't know what I do for a living. Our moms and dads probably don't really. My mom thinks I'm in computers. So therefore, I am technical support, no matter what the problem is. But I said to her, Mom, you're upset. And you know what I do for a living? is I fix software to make that frustration go away. And then she understood what I do for a living. So that was kind of something good to come out of her frustration. Well, let's take a second, and I'm going to prove to you, before I talk about how to fix it, that this is truly documented. Rage is documented. Right? Here are the frequent causes of user frustration and rage. Not surprising, right? Too slow, broken, can't find anything. The easy way was the way before. Doesn't do what I want, wastes my time. Angry, angry, angry. We are at our most vulnerable in certain situations in our lives. You're going to get angry when you're in a hurry, when you're on a deadline, when you're doing something new, something you haven't done before, when you have to do something and you don't want to. That happens a lot. When you're overwhelmed, when those things are happening, the anger comes to you fast, and it comes to your users really fast, really fast. So here's some of the research. This is the study. Frustration, still a common user experience. This is from 2023. It's a couple years ago, a little more than a year ago. Right? This is the study. We're not going to look at all of it. This is a conclusion of the study that I'll look at first, and it's very depressing. It's basically telling us that we can do everything right, build the best thing we ever built. Perfect technical requirements, excellent, on time, under budget, and still get people frustrated and irritated constantly. That's a problem. So the study was sort of a diary study, sort of an event monitoring study, where they have a bunch of users just do work that they normally do in a given hour and track any time they were frustrated and what it was. And this is what they sorted out. 6.5 minutes per hour, users were frustrated for one reason or another, right? Doesn't sound like a lot, but you're in front of screens, what? All your workday, also in the evening. The users averaged 8 hours a day. That's like 52 minutes a day of being upset. That's a lot. That cannot be good for you physically, honestly. That's a long time. I'm probably way over this. 52. Most of the issues were usability or system problems. Pay close attention to that. 74% of the time, it's those two things. These are the categories of issues and their rank, okay? From the left to the right, top to the bottom. Notice that all the really serious things are performance related. It's too slow. It's broken, right? It froze, it crashed, whatever. This is what people get upset about in order. This is the worst part, I think, of the study. 84% of the time, when someone experienced a problem, it was the same problem they'd experienced before that's still causing them frustration every single time. That's a huge number. 3/4 of the time, they still did what they wanted to do. That's good, right? Or not. If you're required to do something, if you have to do it and have no choice, you have to find a way. That's true of a lot of the things we do. Now, I didn't want to be satisfied with that study. That's a good scientific study, pretty awesome. So True Matter, my company, let's do our own study. Let's do a survey ourselves and see if some of the conclusions we find track with that. Ours is a little more ad hoc. We had about 300 users, and we did a survey with them. And we found that of all our users, they're using digital tools a lot. They're using it pretty much all day, at least once a day or several times a day. It's a big deal. And this is the stuff they like. What do you like about the stuff you use? We asked them. Well, and this is what we heard. Easy to use, number one. Helps me do stuff, loads fast. Keep those top ones in mind. What did they hate? Notice the bars are bigger. Lots to hate. Too slow. Takes too long to do stuff. Hard to use. Buggy. Glitchy. They hate this stuff, and it does get them angry. Look at this. The last time they were frustrated. Today wins. If you count today, yesterday, and this week, 90% basically of people were frustrated at least this week. That's a lot. That's a lot. And these are the things they tend to want to do to fix it, because you got to fix it, right? You got to still do stuff. So, I try to do it myself. Or, I try to call customer support, which is a whole new world of hurt that they're about to encounter. Okay. My team's been doing this stuff since the mid-90s. Nothing from this study or our study surprised us one bit. We've been working with users and testing with them my whole career. All of this is true. It's been true my whole career. We've seen rage and frustration in users as a common thing my whole career. Very, very, very expected. So, okay. Let's consider something important that will help you moving forward. Anger is a default. All your users, they're not about to get angry. They already are. All right, let's consider it their default state. They are ready to be disappointed by the stuff you make. They are expecting to be disappointed by the stuff you made because they've been burned in the past and they expect to be burned in the future. And it happens every time for them. Let's have some sympathy for users. Often there's zero choice in the matter. All right, let's look at the stuff that we have to do online now, 2024, 2025. Most of this we really have to do online. We don't want to do any of it. Most of these tasks are things we don't want to do. So imagine if you're frustrated and angry with software and you're doing stuff you don't want to do. Not a good combination. And this is a lot of things outside of entertainment, which can be frustrating too. It's a lot of stuff you just gotta do. I don't know a lot of people who are like, let's organize our digital files. Whoa, I feel good. At work, it's worse. You are completely locked down usually. You have to use the internet, the HR apps. You got strict security. You've got to deal with a help desk. You can't load stuff on your machine. You are completely locked down. I know that frustration by heart. Most of my clients deal with it. I had to deal with a client and get connected to their VDI. It took me 82 minutes to do it with a lot of help from their voice system, and I was the guy on the team that did it the fastest. I win, 82 minutes. We're forced to do things, and that makes people inside your organizations unhappy. And, help's not helpful. Tell me you look forward to doing any of this, any of it. People don't. They hate it. They hate it. And when they have to go to help, it's like the last choice. Oh my goodness, I've got to go get help. This is going to be awful. So their anger is already there, and it is always ready to come out. Always. We've seen it in user tests. When we're not even testing a user, they get angry. They get angry when they can't handle software. I understand it. And there's consequences to it, okay? Look at this in this study, the scientific study, right? 26%, that is 1/4 of people simply could not even finish a task. That's horrifying. They call it disturbing. I agree. If you have a frustrating response, your first response is bad. Your second response is worse because you're already upset. You're already angry. When you're angry, are you rational? Do you make good decisions when you're angry? No. I know I don't. It looks like this. I get frustrated. I get angry. I get impatient. I rush. I make bad mistakes. I miss things. I make bad decisions. And then And then we're all tempted to say, well, of course you had that problem because you're an idiot. You just didn't do this, that, or the other. But they were angry. They don't see it anymore. It's gone for them. And it just keeps going. People aren't like us, right? If we have a problem with the form's error handling, we're like, well, that error handling is not done very well. A real sort of normal user says, man, these error messages from iTunes, screw Apple. They're mad at the whole company, not just an error message. Customers got lots of options. They can go places, they can do different things, they could exact vengeance upon you. All of it. And they do all of these things. Employees is different. It's kind of like passive resistance. You make internal software that they hate, they will use it as little as they possibly can. And they will do all sorts of workarounds to try to just avoid it in any way. They'll find some spreadsheet to do it themselves. There is always a spreadsheet, okay? Always. And they'll get upset. They'll blame us, of course, right? Whether the blame is real or not, we're getting blamed. Okay, feeling good so far? Is this feeling happy? There is hope. Well, first, a little blue before the green. Here's my problem with it. It's kind of like, oh, well, this is the way of it. This is all we've got. This is the way software is made. It's got problems. Users got problems. The world's terrible. And what I mean by that is that we keep doing things the same way, basically, right? Because in many ways, we don't have a choice. We're encased in teams that we might not have choice over what we do. Like let me ask you this. How many people here work in dev teams where you have like UX resources? That's not bad. That's way better than I typically see. It's still not half, but most teams aren't doing that. Most teams aren't bringing UX people or resources or processes in. And when they do, it's hard. Sometimes they only have one person. It's hard to do. It's where we are. We're not there yet. So I get that. It's a problem. But when we're making software without reference to the depth of the anger that's out there, we're just going to keep doing the same stuff. So, why we're here. So I'm going to conclude with how we fix some of this. Some of this is easier said than done. And some of this, I hope that you'll try. Okay. How do we calm the savage user? First thing I want you to do is very simple. You're here and I appreciate it, and it's an honor to speak with you. I just want you to agree with the reality of the depth of rage that I've described, and agree that your users are not broken and people are not broken. It's our stuff that is. Now, whether that's fair or not, I think it's a lot of times that's not fair, but it's true whether it's fair or not. If you consider the user as being broken, you won't make the right kind of choices for them. You have to consider that it's your product that's broken. And that's hard to do. But you can do that, right? Everyone can do that. We need to agree that the stuff we want people to do is harder than it should be. See? That's easy. So far, so good. That's hard to do. You can probably accept this faster than, say, an SME or a director or something. That's the real struggle. We can fix it. And we're, quite frankly, the only people who can, right? Because we make the stuff. So there is hope. We can fix it. Starts with a simple change of heart. And the second thing is actually not that hard for us, because I think as developers and development teams, we understand it. We just have to focus on quality. If you look at this site, this is a web app about finding properties and researching them. and it performs well. It's super fast. The users love it. We've tested it umpteen times, changed it for them. They dig it. It's successful, and it made the company money. You could totally do that, right? It's possible to do. It's possible if you remember what users hate the most. If you look at what they hate the most, look, it's performance. It's usability. And by usability here, they mean just not broken, just working. These are the things they hate, right? So if all you do, literally all you do, is make your app significantly faster, you are doing your users a massive favor because they hate that the most. They hate slowness the most. Okay, great. We can do quality. We don't even have to be special UX people to do this, right? Fewer bugs, not a controversial statement, right? It's just a little bit more focus on quality. Don't have to be a UX person for that. Error handling, when things go wrong, don't do what Apple did. What am I supposed to? You've just got to pay attention to scenarios that occur when things don't go on the happy path. How do you communicate with people? Spend time on it. Find someone who can truly write amazing user-centered microcopy just for your error messages. Pay attention to access. Most of the user problems we find whenever we do testing is not about what happens in a system. It's about what happens trying to get in all the time. Certainly for my mom, but this happens for nearly everybody. It's hard to figure out registration, sign up, log in, log out, remember password, dual factor authenticate. People have such trouble with this. I know it's very weird to hear in a room like this, but it's definitely true. I've seen it my whole career. No one's gonna say no to this, right? Not in this room. Take a little bit longer, squash a few more bugs, take a little bit longer, and get a lot more quality out. That will help. I promise you that will help. And here's a low bar for us, right? If we can't aim for, this is the best app I've ever used in my life, now I can die in peace. If we can't get that, let's at least get, don't make them angry. Can we do that? Because if we do that, we've done something. Quality gets you most of the things that users hate. As dev teams, we can do that. But then I thought, is there one thing? What if I could tell you one thing and you didn't have UX resources or whatever? What would I tell you to do to calm this rage? And it's just one thing. It's an easy thing. Spend time with users. I know some of you probably don't have the access to users you want, but I assure you I've met many teams who don't have access to users who just sort of find a way to find them. They don't ask for permission to see users, they just try. It's a little weird, but you can always find them, especially if you're doing internal software. Okay, there's two ways you could do this. First is just a user observation. Again, nothing special about this, all right? This is just watching people do their job, okay? You're trying to see where they are and what they do, see what's in their way. You want to do it before you make something. You want to understand how people work before you make something new. You want to understand how their day-to-day might affect the features you're going to put into something. That's it, right? All you do is spend a ton of time with them, and you ask them really simple questions like, hey, why did you do that? Or, hey, what's that sticky note on your monitor for? Why do you have that? Hey, I noticed you just went to your spreadsheet to do something. Why? Was that because the software wasn't helping you? Why is that? Simple questions. You're a scientist, no opinion. You just want to understand them. You want to understand what they hate, what their workarounds are, what wastes their time. And then you can simply have a discussion with the product team and say, hey, this is what we learned. You might even do it together with the product team. I've seen only just developers do this with success. We use it to make documentation like this that we might need to give to an SME or something, right? This is what we learned, and this is what it means for features. Not that hard to do after you spend time with people. Actually pretty easy, but mostly it's just conversations. Now, the second thing you can do is to test your work with users, with real people. So this is just watching people do stuff with something you've made. Now, it's great if it's a thing that you're done with, that's in production, that's awesome because it's real. But you can test with anything, any kind of early prototype, getting it in front of users and having them try it, to try to get through something. You're looking for detailed feedback, something you can't get any other way. What you do is you just set up a real task, like, you just got a parking ticket and received this email, go to the link and try to pay it, if that's the system you're making, and see if the user can use your interface or prototype to achieve that goal. Early on, the answer might be no, but that's okay, because you're figuring out what they don't do well. You got to get some users, and you can do it in person or online. 5 to 10 users gives you a ton of good information. And we create a nice environment, make them feel comfortable. We're not testing you, we're just testing the system. We're going to be a scientist again, no opinions. I don't want to know a user's opinion about anything. I just want to know what they do and don't do. This is how we might set something up in a nice little area, test an intranet. Learned a lot. It was a prototype. If you're doing things online, it's awesome because you get to see where we use a Look Back, great piece of software. You get to see where their mouse movements are. You get to see their face. They're like, I don't know what this is when they're pausing. It's great data. Sometimes you get some nice information from software too. You can do that, it's great. You're looking for what path is broken, what mistakes users are making, what gets in their way. I've done user tests with very low fidelity prototypes that help us totally understand that our thinking was wrong. And it altered our thinking and made something better. This is something you do in a few hours. It's not that complex. I'm going to give you some resources for it too. It's great to record it. You want to interview people when you're done. After you see what they do and don't do, you ask them questions like, why did you do that? Very, very technical. Or I noticed you had trouble with this part of the parking ticket payment app. Could you tell me what gave you trouble? And they'll tell you. Users are great at telling you what they hate. They're awesome at it. We sometimes make documentation, but again, this is like for SMEs or directors of stuff. Often it's just a conversation you have with the development team, and you watch some users do stuff, and you know what to fix. It doesn't even take long most of the time. We do this sometimes when we have to convince people of something important that they're not associated with users, and maybe they're a product owner. You could look at scenarios and users and give them nice sort of information about what works and what doesn't. Not necessary though, but you could do it. Okay, how are we doing? All right, awesome. Okay, now those things are easy to say, but they can be hard to do when you're just getting started with them. So I want you to keep in mind a couple of things. I'm going to give you a couple of resources. First, keep in mind from that study, their final conclusion was that frustration and rage is an inherent part of everything we do. Kind of depressing. And the need is urgent to make it better, for sure. Okay. But you can do it. First, there's 3 steps, right? Believe deeply in the problem. Remember, if you remember one thing, users are already mad. You didn't do anything to make them mad. They're already mad when they come to you. You can use the current things you're great at right now to fix some of the worst problems users have. That's all about performance. If you just focus on performance and basic usability, you are winning on the big things. And then I'm asking you to just take a step out and try a couple of new things with users. Try it. If you observe users and do some of this user testing that I'm describing, you will never go back. You'll wonder how you ever made stuff without it. It's amazing. Now, I know we only had a few minutes to talk about it, right? So I'm going to give you a couple resources, next step you can take, all right? First thing to know is that you don't have to be a UX specialist like me to do it at all. There's nothing magical or special about any of this that I just said. Nothing. It's actually easy. All right, so here's some further reading. I want you to read this book. If you're really interested in user testing, this is book number 1. This is a book that we make everyone who comes into our company read. It's very simple, it's very short, and it elaborates on what I just said in terms of user testing. After that, you can graduate to other books and better books and more in-depth books. That's number 1. It's so good, you could hand it to like a director or an SME, and if they're excited about it and want to participate with you. Easy book, good book. We write about this all the time, all right? This is our blog, not trying to sell you anything, but we write for dev teams. We want to help dev teams, all right? And so these are the things we write about, including digital Spitfire interface rage, which sort of inspired this talk. You know, stop doing things people hate. Very simple, right? Or digital Spitfire. Okay, next thing I want you to do, because I know this was short and some of these things are weird, and when things are easy to say but hard to do, you need to talk about them. We're near the end of our time. They're like gonna kick us out of here, I think. So here's what I suggest. If you have some questions, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go out right behind this wall here area where the lounge area is. And if you wanna talk to me about any of this, let's talk about a specific situation, how you can start, whatever. Otherwise, you can find me online, or I'm gonna be here the rest of the day, I'm gonna be here tomorrow. Look, I have 2 different shoes. It is very hard to miss me. You will find me. Talk to me about anything related to getting started with user observation or testing, and I would love to talk to you about it because I totally know it works. I can tell you about projects where it's changed what we do. And that's really, for me, the only way to do it. It's the only way to combat this rage, which no matter what you do, those users are still going to be mad. You just want them to be pleasantly surprised that they're not mad this time. How did that happen, right? That's kind of what we're going for. If that makes sense, that's it. That's Digital Spitfire Interface Rage. I really appreciate you being here. It's an honor to speak with you. If they don't kick us out, I can take a question or two. Otherwise, I'll head on out. But if you have a question, maybe we'll go quick. Or Dylan's going to make sure. Dylan's going to kick us out. I can feel it. All right. Let's say we did it. And I'll be outside hanging out. Look forward to talking to you. Thank you so much.